Welcome back to the board. Today, two of the strongest Shogi engines face off, Mononoke moving first, as sent, against AobaZero. Let's follow it quietly, move by move. Sent pushes the pawn to 26. Goat pushes the pawn to 34. Sent pushes the pawn to 76. Goat pushes the pawn to 84. Sent pushes the pawn to 25. Goat responds by pushing the pawn to 85. Sent plays the gold to 78. Goat plays the gold to 32. Sent pushes the pawn to 24. Goat's pawn takes the pawn on 24. Sent rook captures the pawn on 24. Goat pushes the pawn to 86. Sent captures the pawn on 86. Goat's rook captures the pawn on 86. Sent rook captures the pawn on 34, and the balance swings toward goat. Goat's bishop advances to 33. Sent's king moves to 58. Goat's king also moves to 52. Sent pushes the pawn to 36. Goat's rook captures the pawn on 76. Sent plays the bishop to 77. Goat drops a pawn on 26. Sent advances the silver to 38. Goat takes the bishop on 77 with their bishop, promoting it to a horse. Sent's knight now captures that horse on 77. Goat drops a bishop to 55. Sent drops a pawn on 22. Goat plays their knight to 33. Sent plays the pawn to 21, promoting to a token. Goat brings the silver to 42. Sent swings the rook over to 84. Goat advances the silver to 72. Sent plays the rook to 82, promoting to a dragon. Goat pushes the pawn to 74. Sent plays the dragon to 87. Goat pushes a pawn to 75. Sent plays the knight to 65. Goat drops a pawn on 86, an inaccuracy that clearly favors Goat, as the engine preferred capturing the lance on 19 with the bishop, promoting to a horse. Sent's dragon takes the rook on 76, swinging the rook across in a ranging rook approach. Goat's pawn captures the dragon on 76. Sent drops a pawn on 73. Goat's knight takes the pawn on 73, and the balance shifts to Sent. Sent's knight captures the knight on 73, promoting to a promoted knight, which was a mistake as the engine preferred just capturing the knight on 73. Goat's bishop captures the promoted knight on 73. Sent drops a knight to 24. Goat plays the gold to 23. Sent plays the knight to 32, promoting to a promoted knight. Goat brings the silver up to 51. Sent drops a bishop on 41, checking Goat, though the engine preferred dropping it on 66 instead, a mistake that now clearly favors Sent. Goat's king moves to 62, continuing to build a solid castle around the king. Sent's promoted knight captures the knight on 33. Goat pushes the pawn to 87, promoting it to a token, though the balance of the game now swings toward Sent. Sent drops a rook on 32, with check, a blunder as the engine preferred the bishop capturing the gold on 23, promoting to a horse instead. Goat's king moves to 71. Sent drops a knight on 85, a mistake that clearly favors Sent, as the engine preferred dropping a knight on 83 instead. Goat's bishop captures the lance on 19, promoting to a horse. Sent drops a pawn on 73. Goat's token captures the gold on 78. Sent's pawn captures the silver on 72, promoting to a token, delivering check. Goat's gold captures the token on 72. Sent's silver captures the token on 78. Goat drops a rook on 79, though Sent is clearly on top now. Cent plays the rook captures the gold on 72, promoting to a dragon, with check, though the engine preferred just capturing the gold. Goat's king captures the dragon on 72, though cent is clearly on top now. Cent drops a silver on 73, checking goat's king. Goat's horse captures the silver on 73, though cent is clearly on top now. Cent's knight captures the horse on 73, promoting to a promoted knight, delivering check. Goat's king takes the promoted knight on 73, but cent is clearly on top now. Cent drops a gold on 69. Goat drops a pawn on 37, but cent is clearly on top now. Cent takes the rook on 79 with their gold, and is clearly on top now. Goat captures the silver on 38 with their pawn, promoting it to a token. Cent drops a bishop to 46, checking goat, but the engine preferred dropping a pawn to 74 instead, as this move is a blunder and the game now clearly favors cent. Goat drops a knight to 64, but cent is clearly on top now. Cent drops a pawn on 74, giving check. The king takes the pawn on 74, but cent is clearly on top now. Cent plays the gold captures the token on 38, a blunder that clearly favors cent, with the engine preferring the bishop capturing the gold on 23, promoting to a horse instead. Goat drops a rook on 18, but cent is still clearly on top. Cent drops a pawn on 28, a blunder that the engine preferred to drops a rook on 71, and now the game clearly favors cent. Goat's gold captures the promoted knight on 33, a move that still leaves cent clearly on top. Cent drops a rook on 71, with check. Goat drops a gold to 73, but cent is clearly on top now. Cent's token captures the lance on 11, and they are clearly on top now. Goat drops a lance on 72, though cent is clearly on top. Cent plays the rook captures the silver on 51, promoting to a dragon, though the engine preferred just capturing the silver without promoting. Goat drops a knight on 54, but cent is clearly on top now. Cent plays the dragon to 81, and is clearly on top now. Goat drops a pawn on 83. Cent plays the bishop to 55, a blunder that clearly favors goat, with the engine preferring a silver drop on 62. Goat drops a pawn on 37, but cent is clearly on top now. Cent plays the knight to capture the pawn on 37, and is clearly on top now. Goat's rook swings over to 19, promoting to a dragon, though cent remains clearly on top. Cent drops a pawn on 75, checking goat's king. Goat's king captures the pawn on 75, but cent is clearly on top now. Cent drops a lance on 39, which was a blunder, as the engine preferred dropping a silver on 66 instead, and the game now clearly favors cent. Goat pushes the pawn to 44, but cent is clearly on top now. Cent plays the dragon to 61, a blunder that the engine preferred to be the dragon capturing the lance on 91, but cent is clearly on top now. Goat drops a silver on 74. Cent drops a silver on 66, checking, but the engine preferred the dragon capturing the lance on 91, and this move is a blunder, with the game now clearly favoring cent. Goat moves the king to 84, but cent is clearly on top now. Cent's dragon captures the lance on 91, and they are clearly on top. Goat brings their silver to 75. Cent drops a lance on 88 with check, a blunder that clearly favors them now, though the engine preferred capturing the silver on 75. Goat drops a knight on 85, though cent is clearly on top now. Cent captures the knight on 85 with their lance, delivering a check. Goat's king captures the lance on 85, though cent is clearly on top now. Cent's dragon captures the pawn on 93. Goat's knight captures the silver on 66, delivering check, but cent is clearly on top now. Cent captures the knight on 66 with their bishop, and is clearly on top now. Goat plays their knight to 56. Cent plays the bishop, captures the pawn on 63, promoting to a horse, with check, and this is a blunder, as cent now has a forced checkmate. Goat's gold captures the horse on 63, but cent still has a forced checkmate. Cent's dragon captures the pawn on 83 with check, and with that, cent now has a forced checkmate. Goat drops a pawn to 84, but cent still has a forced checkmate. Cent drops a pawn to 86 with check, maintaining a forced checkmate. Goat's king captures the pawn on 86, but cent still has a forced checkmate. Cent drops a knight on 98, with check, and now has a forced checkmate. Goat's king captures the pawn on 97, but cent still has a forced checkmate. Cent plays the dragon to 94, with check, and now has a forced checkmate. Goat drops a bishop on 95, but cent still has a forced checkmate. Cent's dragon captures the goat bishop on 95 with check, and cent still has a forced checkmate. Goat drops a silver on 96, but cent still has a forced checkmate. Cent drops a bishop on 88 with check, a blunder that now clearly favors goat, though the engine had preferred that exact move. And there it is, Mononoke takes the game. Thank you for sitting with me at the board. I'll see you at the next one.